Hello everybody, it's Ken Faulkner. Got another knife video. This one is not a new knife. I went through a good run. I had a good run after Blade Show Texas. Had lots of new knives to show. I actually got some other stuff to show, but coming up next week we'll have some more things. But sometimes I get in the in-between points and my mind is not really thinking about that new knife that I just got, but thinking about either knives that I'm gonna get or want to get, obviously want to get, and or knives that I already have. And I start thinking, and I think, and maybe I think too much. Maybe I just have too much free time on my mind. So you tell me if I'm just crazy. But the thing is that I have done videos on just ideas about collecting and talking about collecting, and I really enjoy it. When I first started the channel, it was all about showing knives, being able to show, hey, I just got this cool knife and I want to show it to you because I love it. I think it's so cool and I just got it and I'm so happy. And then I got this next knife and I just got it and I'm so happy and I just want to show it to you guys and talk about it. But it's kind of morphed into, especially as you become more, you realize that you're not just buying some knives, you're a collector, a real collector. And I think the knife community is full of people like that, or people who are heading that direction, if that makes sense. So on this video, I want to talk about, it's kind of a obscure concept, and so hopefully I don't rattle on or go down rabbit holes and get lost in my thoughts. I'll try to keep it focused. But it had to do with a video that Scab did. I watch a lot of YouTube. I would probably watch more if I had more hours in the day, if I wasn't working full time, if I didn't have my girlfriend. Got to spend time with her. My kids, get together with. They're all grown adults now, but I do spend time with them. Other things in my life. Got to eat. I do a lot of cooking, so I do some cooking, and there's things I do. Martial arts. I used to do a lot more of that. As I'm getting older, it's kind of harder to do some of that physical stuff. Working out at the gym, used to do a lot of that. It's a little bit harder now. Maybe it's because I'm focusing more on this stuff. I don't know. If this all got taken away, what happened is that stuff got taken away. All that other stuff got canceled during COVID, and then this kind of filled the void. So I don't know. But this is kind of a conversation about if you really know what motivates you. Are you being influenced? And really, to not be influenced in today's world, I mean, just in general, not even specifically about knives, is extremely difficult. I don't talk about politics, but politics has been such a hot topic of late, and people get so fired up over it, and it's kind of wild. And the question is, are people making decisions on what they do? My question is, and it's for me too. I mean, am I being influenced? And that's the reason why I get excited about things. Now, we are going to mainly focus about knives, but these are things you buy, and then when you get into collecting, it's like a whole nother world too. But how much of the money that people spend is on advertising to sell things? People that have products that they're selling, they spend a lot of money on TV, on wherever they are. They're spending so much money, like millions of dollars. You see those Super Bowl ads? If you'll watch the Super Bowl, they got those Super Bowl ads. I forget how much it costs for like a 30-second video. It's insane. They're spending that much money. The companies don't stay in business if they spend a bunch of money and they don't get something in return. So in my head, advertisement works. And it means that as a society in general, we are influenced. And they figured out little tricks on how to influence us too. So that's just a general overview. But when it comes to knives, like I said, Scab did a video recently talking about how knife reviewers are biased. But then it kind of spun off into different things. And my thought, and I was just having a conversation with my girlfriend. We were talking about something. And then I kind of said, well, that's what society thinks is the preferred thing, and it had something to do with like looks, like people have a certain look that they want to have, clothes that they want to wear, shoes they want to wear, they want to have an appearance, and so much of it, I believe, is based on, because if you look back over the centuries, it's changed as far as what are the body types that are considered appealing, what things are important to people. And I think media, in so many ways, influences us. And so now bringing it back, I got to bring it back, really back into knives. We got YouTube. We got Instagram. I don't do TikTok. I don't do Facebook too much. I'm on there a little bit. I know a lot of people buy and sell on Facebook. Reddit is another one. Discord. All those. I'm really more focused on YouTube, a little bit of Instagram. But anyway, they're all out there, and they're all drawing us in. We got pictures, we got videos, we got people talking about how great things are, and we're getting influenced, and it affects what we want out of life, and it affects what we think will make us happy. And I think it's just a natural part of life. I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, that's the thing, is I don't want you guys to think that I'm like looking down and judging the world, because I'm in the world and I am affected by this stuff. The question is how do you keep it from causing you to not be happy? And you see so much of that in the world. There's a lot of people out there that are unhappy with life, and it's an unfortunate thing. Some of it's real, obviously. People have struggles in their life. They have things that are beyond their control, that are causing grief. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the stuff that we kind of fabricate in our own head. Sorry if I'm getting too philosophical or any of that kind of stuff, but it does relate to the knives and collecting, because I've found that I've searched my soul over collecting of knives. It's really the biggest thing that I'm doing right now, as far as wanting to, not the most important thing in my life, at least I don't think it is, but it's something that I spend a lot of my time on. Obviously, doing YouTube has affected that for me. But watching YouTube also has affected that. I watch more YouTube than I watch regular TV or probably any other media, really. And most of that's knife stuff. So I really kind of spend a lot of time. And I think there's other people, when you go to those lives and you see all the same people over and over again, I don't really spend as much time in lives, more on just regular videos. But, and again, seriously not judging anybody on that. I'm just saying, it's kind of saying it as a fact. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because I think that it can be a good thing. But the problem is if it turns into a negative because you are anxious, or you just never find happiness. You buy a knife and then you're unhappy that you don't have the next one and the next one. And this is where it comes to me pointing my fingers at me, because I do struggle with it sometimes, for sure. I have all these great knives in my collection, and I appreciate them and enjoy them. I don't carry any one knife as much as I would like to. I got some great ones here. I got some down here, but this is really, other than this guy, which is a gift and really a save queen for me, the Rockstead. Probably my own only real safe queen, and I do carry it once in a while. But for the most part, because that's probably twice as much as my biggest expenses as far as cost. But I got my vault case, and that's where I have like my most valuable. And that's another thing, what makes something valuable? Obviously, there's got to be something that influences us to want to spend money on knives, right? Am I right? Let me know if I'm wrong. I mean, sure, there is quality, there's materials, all that stuff. That does come into play. I remember Billy over at Apex Alchemy. He's kind of moved on now, but he used to come back on that and talk about, because he's got into knife making. He started seeing the cost of different steels, and they're not cheap. And then when it comes to like custom knives, how many hours are spent makes a value, because there's so many hours spent on each one. Even certain production knives, you get a lot of time spent on even machining things. Even if you're doing production one after the other, high-end production knives like this CKF. Am I right? CKF, yes. Custom Knife Factory. I mean, there's a lot of nice features in here, and obviously that's going to take time, even if it's not done by hand. And I think there are hand elements in here, but even if it's not done by hand, the machining hours and the cost of machines and all that stuff. So there is that value, but then some things, like this knife, ends up being a very expensive knife. And even if somebody spent their whole life making a knife, and the value of all that time that they spent, and nobody wants to buy it, then it's not going to be worth that much money, right? So, this is where we get into it. So there's certain knives that become desirable. They become very desirable, and everybody's chasing them. I got this. This one was one that I definitely felt that pull, the McNeese. And I mentioned it when I got the knife. I was talking about how at all the shows they'd sell out so fast, and everybody'd be lining up for them and all that. And there is so much good in all that, so much excitement. For knife collectors, there's a bit of it's almost like going on a hunt, and you're out hunting big game or something like that. You're hunting, you're trying to find the knives. And there's a lot of work involved in that, and finding a deal, finding the right combinations of materials that are limited, and very few are made. That is something that is exciting and can be such a good thing. And then when you get it, you feel that sense of accomplishment. Shiro Goroff, another one, big name. Now I've got this one, and this is another thing that happens. You have this name, and there's so much buzz, and I get so curious. I used to call it like FOMO. I think it's more than just fear of missing out. It's just so much curiosity. Everybody talks about how amazing these knives are. I want to feel that. I want to know. And even if you go to you look at them, that's one level. And they can be very beautiful and very sleek. And then you can go to a show, and then you can actually hold one or maybe borrow one from somebody, and really feel it for a little while. But for me, at least, it's owning and having it and carrying it enough to really spend time with it. And I think that's something that gets you past the influenced part of it. I think the influence part of it is up to the point of actually buying it, and then you really find out. And I think we all have that. We all have knives that we really wanted to buy, and then after we bought it, it just didn't get carried that much. So the question is, are you a collector just to have something in collection? And collecting in general, a lot of people collect to make money on things, coins or whatever. I've never been that much of a collector on that. Um, I used to collect baseball cards, and there were people. And I remember when I was a little older, and I had all these boxes of baseball cards. I'd see people put out ads about, "Hey, do you have baseball cards?" And I contacted somebody, and they say, "Oh, are they still mint in the box?" And mine were all bent up and stuff because I had done so many things. So I realized, that if you're collecting for that kind of thing, you really kind of do want to safe queen it, so you can resell it. And there's some of that in the knife community, obviously. Certainly, very desired knives go up in value. Never have been much for that. It's more about having it and enjoying it. And if I can't enjoy it, even just looking at it, or just like this one, just kind of flicking it out, I do carry this one for sure. But like this one here, a lot of it is the meaning that my girlfriend, she just decided I turned 60. She wanted to really do something nice for me. How cool is that? And so there's so much to that. And this one is like a work of art to me. I don't know if it'll go up in value. I don't really care. It's not something I'm going to sell at any time. Unless there's extreme something, God willing, that never happens. But man, this is a work of art, and I appreciate it so much. It is impossible to keep the fingerprints off of, but especially when you get it all wiped down, it's beautiful. It's a beautiful knife. I love it. But anyway, see, I'm going off. This is 17 minutes. Okay. We might be able to keep this under control. I don't know. So Shiro Goroff, big name. It's funny because the custom knife factory, it's interesting they talk about it because a lot of the parts are made in China. And that's another thing is, are we influenced as to, buying all American made, or certain brands, high end, high quality brands because of the name, or is it because it's just so good? I think that in any case, it has to be just that good in order to get to the point where a brand is super desirable. I've never actually bought a knife. This one's interesting. This is the Medford. And sure, I know a lot of people just, don't like Medford for many reasons. And it's interesting, but then there's other people that it's extremely desirable for. And for me, it was like, I see these big old chunky knives, and I do like big knives. It's funny that this is the Micro Praetorian. It's a fifth. I've carried it fifth pocket before. I mean, a Medford in the fifth pocket, really? And it is a thick boy for the size of the knife, and it is just a small little knife. So it's just kind of makes me giggle sometimes. But I wanted to have a Medford so bad, and I just got this sweet deal on it, a really sweet deal. And I didn't know when or if I was going to have another opportunity. I do have one other one, but I don't have a lot of Medfords in my collection. I do want to get more. I'm not put off necessarily by a lot of the things that other people are put off by. And then that gets to the other thing. Are we influenced in a negative direction on things? I had one. Oh, yeah. Here you go. Speaking of negative directions, these are, I only have a couple of Benchmates, but yeah, definitely wanted to check it out because there is a great buzz for Benchmates and people that love these knives. And I do like both the ones I have. The Osborne is my favorite of the two. I got the Bug Out as well. This is just a really nice knife, but there's that whole negativity about the butterfly tax and all that kind of thing. And so, the question you got to ask yourself is, the butterfly tax, is that just because people are influenced to believe that Benchmades are worth it. Are they worth it? They are USA made. Is that what's driving people to buy them? I know they do great discounts for military, maybe police too. I'm not sure, but anyway, I obviously have a couple, but I haven't like collected a lot of them. And it's not like I couldn't collect more of them, but I when I'm going to spend my money, I end up deciding on other things. So, we, like I say, we're all influenced. I keep saying that word. You probably, if you like to drink a lot, you can take a shot every time I say it. But you're probably going to end up on the floor. But we're all influenced. But the question is, after we get influenced, and we buy and actually have a knife, then what? Then where's it go? Do we realize that, hey, this really isn't as exciting, or like the brand is not the brand that I want to just chase after, and we may decide to get something else. For me, I like to have like one-off sometimes of certain brands. And I don't know that I'll buy any more Shiros. At this point, it's not really something. But then there's like Arcane Design. And this is an interesting knife, because it's definitely something that it's a well-known knife company, and there is a buzz about it, but I think you have to have a certain desire to get this kind of stylistic look. Certainly the price is up, and a lot of work is done in it. I mean, just even in the handles, all the pieces, and then all the other aftermarket parts that you can get for them. But at some point, you're gonna need to really like the look of it. I think it's because it's so, I don't really have anything else that really quite compares to an Arcane Design. And so I feel personally that you really have to like just the aesthetics and this type of aesthetic, the space kind of thing, in order to really invest your money. And in this case, I do want to get more of them. It's not like super high on my list, but it's one of those knives where I know at some point I'm going to say to myself, it took me a long time to buy this knife, even no matter how much I liked this brand. And Israel is a great guy, and I talked to him. I like everything behind his motivations. It took me a long time just to get this one, but this is one of those brands that after getting it, it didn't get me to that point where I say, okay, I'm satisfied, I'm going to move on. I still want to get it. So I was influenced by the excitement about these knives. A lot of people have them on channels, and they get, they talk about them and everything like that. But now I'm kind of past that influence point, I believe, to the point where, yes, it's my own experience that I personally do like these kind of knives, and I do want to get more. Another brand, big brand, Chris Reeve. And it took me a long time to get this one. But again, my experience after that first buy has been so good that I do want to, even though it's a higher cost. It may not be the next one on my list, but I think that it's in there somewhere. I'm going to be going for more of those. There's Hinder. Hinder is another one that is like that. It's just, they had that the Holy Trinity of knives, and I did have a Strider for a while, and I ended up trading it recently. But that one, I did like it a lot, but I didn't see myself, because the Striders are certain brands are more, it's more effort to get them because they're so desired that they sell out fast, and it's not so easy to find them. Hinderers lately have become a little bit more easy, and same with Chris Reeves too. Those were like you're going to wait months or whatever. And in a lot of cases, unless you're going to pay that secondary market price. So yeah, I think Strider, maybe I might get another one at some point, but at this point, it's further down my list. So I was influenced in the fact that I wanted to get one because it was like that holy trinity. It's like that one of those iconic brands. Iconic brand is a big thing for me. I bought one case slip joint. Have it here. Because I need to have a case knife in my collection, and there's controversy with these knives, but there is this brand thing, and I really want to try one out. Now that I have it, I'm kind of in that, and I'm not saying to anybody follow me and be influenced by me. It could happen, anyway, but it's not my intent with my channel to do something like that. And I think it's kind of what Scab was trying to get around. It was because it's a difficult thing, and there's a lot of dynamic there. And in the end of the day, there's another one, Emerson. So iconic, again, iconic. I probably will get another Emerson at some point. They are somewhat simplistic in a way. I mean, I hate to say that, especially for people who are real big fans. They got that fanboy thing, right? Big fans of these knives, and I can see why. Like I said, that texture, just the build, the solidness of it. But then when you look at modern knives, you look at something like this, and then you look at something like maybe this, this has got the inlays and the titanium and all that kind of stuff. This is 154 cm steel. And again, steels is another thing that could definitely be an influenced thing. Because this one, I think, it doesn't say on, I can't remember. I think that this is Magna Cut. I'd have to have my spreadsheet up because my memory is not that good. And I don't majorly stress over steels, although I do like to have different ones in my collection for sure. But certainly they're doing a lot of Magna Cut now, and certainly is a good steel whatever it has. But it's 154 cm. Yeah, it's a good steel, I think. And it's like Kaiser used to do it, and I always liked all my Kaisers back earlier in my collecting. Still like Kaisers, but I mean they've kind of fallen back behind a little bit, man, and it's because of influence. Microtech's another one. I mean, I hear a lot of people talk about their M3. I don't know if it's M398. This might be the M3 or M390K. I know that Billy, again, from Apex Alchemy, was doing all kinds of testing, and there was an amphibian that Nick from Behind the Edge. That's a guy that really finds amazing knives. One of the cool things about watching his channel is seeing what he finds next, because he really nails some of these things. But there was an amphibian, and he sent it in to Billy, and he tested it, and then there was always talk about how they run their steel soft, and it may be true that they did for a while. Another influence thing, the hardness of, and how real that is and everything is kind of beyond me. I'll let the people that really get into it and understand it and know what they're talking about argue that point. But it ran up high. I think it was like 61.5 or something like that. Certainly higher than was kind of the, what people were saying. And like I said, it could have been softer before, and they kind of came around because they wanted to get rid of a negative connotation. I mean, when you're a big brand, and you have another influencing thing, if you have somebody come along and say, oh, this brand has this problem. I remember they were talking about hinderers and spine whacking, and they're breaking the lock, not breaking it, but it was slipping the lock during a spine whack, and there was a whole big thing. And there was that stuff with transparent knives, a lot of drama and stuff like that, and that can be a big thing, and that could be an influence on people to stop buying that brand. I can think of a certain car company that's very much in turmoil right now, but so influence. So what do we do with our influence? We are going to be influenced. It's like Scab was saying, all reviewers are biased, and I think that's pretty obvious. But it's basically that they have an opinion, and that's kind of another way of saying biased. Got some more hinderers and other cool knives. So what do we do? I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to be influenced. I think it helps us make decisions. It certainly doesn't necessarily mean that our expectations that we get from the influence that we are given, that we're going to have them all met when we buy a knife. Or it may make us decide not to buy a knife for whatever reason. And so that's a real thing. And then there's that after the buy. And are you still liking the knife? Maybe you just like to have it so you can say that you have it. And it's a very popular brand and you can say that you have it. In my opinion, so this is my bias, in my opinion, if you are happy, if you have kids and they're growing up and you're dealing with the fact that all through their life you are trying to grow them into good people and to make right decisions and know how to have things maybe that you didn't have, that kind of stuff. But then as they get to be adults, for me at least, the most important thing for me is that they have a happy life. They don't necessarily have to be wealthy or successful or anything, because those things don't necessarily mean that you're going to be happy. I mean, obviously, having wealth does help. It's easier to be happy when you're wealthy, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be happy. I mean, look at all the rich people that are just dissatisfied. So I want people to be happy. So that would be my message at the end of the day. It's not good or bad. There's influence. We're all going to be influenced. It's just part of life. Otherwise, people wouldn't spend millions of dollars to advertise to you. I think we should all keep an open mind. But even if you have a closed mind, regardless of the fact, if you're going to invest your money in something, if you're going to invest your time in something, it shouldn't make you happy and shouldn't lead you to a point where you just want more and more. We talk about knives being an addiction, and we know bad addictions that there are in the world and how they can just lead you to a place where you just want more and more, and you're never able to achieve that, like for drugs, that high, that original high. That's what they talk about. You get high that first time, and you just think it's so amazing and everything like that, and then you're chasing that, and it over time it gets less. I mean, like opioids can be like that. It's so good at helping you to not be in pain, but then if you keep chasing it and chasing it, you end up in a bad spot. So I think that's kind of the point of this conversation. Have you guys thought about whether or not you're being influenced, and how do you deal with that? I mean, I certainly find myself really desiring certain knives, and there's a lot of different knives that I want, and I know I can't have them all, so I have to make decisions. But I think I'm happy. I feel happy, and that's good enough. I really enjoy this a lot. Believe me, I enjoy it a lot. But there is that constant longing. And there's probably a certain amount of longing that needs to be in there. But that's the question. Is there a tipping point where that longing turns into just a stress and an anxiety that is negatively impacting your life, your happiness, overall happiness? So yeah, we got 34 minutes. I think it's a good time to wrap it up. I think I've said enough about this. You kind of know what I mean. I like to say that when I'm doing videos, it's an interesting thing. Unless you go and read other people's comments on other people's videos, I really hadn't. I sometimes do, but sometimes not. But when you have a channel and you reading other people, and I read probably all my, I may miss one, especially if there's like an older video, I may miss one or something, but I read most of the comments. I don't always respond because I get too busy. I like to respond, but it is what it is. But the great thing about it is I hear people's comments and I see what they go through. And there's a lot of people out there that can't buy, when I'm showing these super expensive knives, they can't buy them, or they would have to save a long time. And they talk about what it takes for them to be able to buy a knife. But, like I said, at least recently, I've been talking about how great of a group I feel that I have on my channel. As you get bigger, you get less of that. But right now, being a smaller channel, and even if I have 500 subs, obviously I don't get 500 views on every video, and some videos get 5,000 views, very rarely for me, but sometimes you get 5,000 views. So, but that there's people that come back around. In the comments, there's usually 10 to 20 comments, that kind of thing. But the comments are people that are generally very excited and happy about this hobby. And I really like that. Even when they're at the point where they can't really buy a knife, as often as I do, or buy as expensive knives, they still really seem like they are enjoying, happy, positive. It's awesome. That's what is really important. It's not really having the most expensive knives. And I know it's hard for me to say because I have some expensive knives, but keep in mind there's, you look at Metal Complex or whoever you want to look at, Jim Skelton, some of these other guys, Edge Mindset, another guy, he's got some great stuff. These guys have more expensive knives. And there's no reason for, me to, and I never am. I don't begrudge them or anything like that because they can get knives that I can't. But obviously I'm kind of in that tween, like the tweenager thing, I'm between like the guy that only can get budget knives and the guy that can get the super expensive knives. And, it's just being happy. And I sense that with a lot of the people that are commenting on my videos. And I am so impressed by anybody who can just find the bright side, can appreciate what they have. I know I struggle with that. I may not make it known in all my comments that I make on channels, but I struggle sometimes with certainly when I get to a point where I'm used to buying knives at a certain pace and I have to slow down. It can be difficult, but I have to keep in perspective, and maybe that's part of what I'm doing today is just kind of running through it in my head, to you guys on video and running through it just to help myself to understand that I got a lot to be happy about. And if I'm not being happy, then there's no point in doing this. You know what I mean? Why should I spend my time on something if I'm not going to be happy about it? Unless I'm forced to. I'm not forced to buy knives. I may feel like I'm forced to buy knives sometimes, but I'm not. And so, I am happy. I really enjoy this. And you guys certainly help me with that. Doing these videos, seeing the comments, community, being in lives, just being around people in the groups, going to the shows. Man, huge. All right, guys, that's it. I'm done. 40 minutes. Thanks for watching if you watched. If you skipped on by, I totally understand. You guys have a good one, and I'll be coming back with some more knives next week. All right? See you guys.